Okay, it looks like we are streaming. Hello guys, how are we all? I'm pretty good. I'm gonna add an image. Oh, we're live. Before we start, because it's still waiting for some people to get in, I want to show you some of my old crappy models. So I talked in my last one, woof. I talked in my last, whatever it was called, stream, but my first model was utter shit. And this is actually what my first. Hang on, let's bring it. Actually, centralize it. That's what my first model looked like. Actually, let's fuck it. Let's get this full. This thing won't go full screen because of a crappy. Oh, hi, Scrubby. Ooh, don't do that. Hold on. Hey, oh, Scrubby, you're a moderator. So this was my first fucking model, and you didn't see it was shit. I'll show you some more because fuck it, why not? When my mother was in hospital, I actually made this. It was on like one of those crappy Intel Atom computers which had like 2 gigs of RAM. Probably still have that laying around. And then you got that, just sort of like a more refined sort of look. And these are all done last year. And obviously, let's actually bring up the one that we did earlier. So we did this one earlier, obviously with backgrounds from FNAF 1. And, right, let's stop editing that scene and actually do what we're supposed to be. So, why does he be moderator but nut neck sag on all? I don't know. I trust Scrubby, I'm not sure if that's a good thing. If someone makes like a half-decent fan game, I immediately think that they're trustworthy. For some reason. So, between like the last model and this one, I did like some big modifications. Right, I need to turn indirect lighting off, otherwise it's going to lag like fuck. Alright, let's put that on. So, the main problem I found was I wanted to screw around with this, see if it would work. And for some reason, it just didn't work with like reflections and all that shit, so I had to go into the properties of every single fucking one. Because there are kids outside pissing around. So I literally spent like an hour retexturing every single fucking joint. I mean, the model looks alright. We just need to add hands and then fuck it, rig the fucker. I mean, you can probably Skype call me. You probably won't get very far because I've got mine on like do not disturb. Now here's the question: do I want to make fresh hands, or do I want to do what I did last time with the legs and just nick them from that other ender skeleton? Endo 80. I mean, I've got perfectly functional hands in this. And I don't know if, like, these hands aren't terrible. I mean, they're gonna be alright. With, like, a bit of modification. So I say we're gonna copy them in. But then I'm gonna want to modify them. Especially this part here, because this looks very crap. I might actually have to go... Yeah, because that model's just one model. Although you have got the, are they the fingers or the arms? I can't... No, that is actually the fucking hand. Alright, so let's delete that. So that's what we did last time, so let's bring it in. And it's gotta be somewhere. It's there. There's a giant fucking hand right there. Instead, so I actually know what I'm doing. We're gonna scale it down. Because I want to add, like... Control-C, Control-V. I want to add details to it, bring it up. I kind of like that, and like a internally bit. So let's have a look at how big this is on the z-axis. Not too bad, actually. Then we might add some vertices on the internal. So that's cube 70, cube 24. That one we want. Yeah, because, right, cube 24, got to remember that. So, I don't know, Boolean cube dot. Oh no, is it? No, it'll be 024, I imagine. Right, okay. Difference. Apply. Let's move this out of the way. Fuck all. Because it wasn't actually embedded enough. Right. So, 76. Difference. Union. Difference again. Intersect. Right, we do want difference. There we are. It's a bit deep though, so I don't really want it that deep. I don't know, because otherwise you're going to get the components coming in, and you know, maybe I can add a bit more detail in here. So just simply so I can have like a filament inside, maybe a bit of exposed wiring to make it look cool. Right. Let's apply that again, see what happens. It's more what I want, so don't move that. Move that, let's scale that on the x-axis, scale that on the z. I'm going to bring that down just so it's... I might rotate it on the y, no, rotate it on the x. Yes. Right, rotate my x again. And then bring it in. Scale your y a bit. Right, rotate on the x again. Alright, I'm happy with that. Bring it on the 3. Bring it up, bring it down. I'm going to do that. We need to have it like crossing with that as well. I want to render that as well, just to make sure it's going to look like that, which isn't terrible. I mean, let's put material on. What I might actually do, because it's going to come up with like those... Oh, it's going to come up with the holders and like that, so that's not going to look too terrible. Right, I'm happy with that, so let's just make sure this is all selected. It is. So I'm just going to scale you down. But I'm going to need to give you the same texture pattern as everyone else, so let's just rotate it y by 90 so we can get a good representation of what you're going to look like. That looks alright. It needs a couple of modifications in the upper handler, so we need to bring this. We need it just touching, 'cause I think it's too in, because we want it pulling directly. So let's get out my red. Right, what is that going to look like? That's pretty close. We can rotate it on both on the z-axis by 1. That looks alright, apart from that part there. And I might need to smooth the fingers out a little bit more. Just notice that this is... Well, all of these are a little off. They need to be recentered. I don't know whether that's something to do with scaling or just bad positioning. Might want to increase the size of you. Looks alright. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Right. So let's speed a box select. Is that everything? Looks like it. Same deal as before. I'm going to take this off here. Control V it. A select. And B the box select. Okay, good. Object. Join. And that's the whole thing now. Right, okay, good. Now, where do I want this? How am I going to want... Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter because I can twist it whatever way I want. It's more about how big of a hand's compared to the head, because if you look there, if he's supposed to be able to smack himself in the face, that's, I mean, you can, that's pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate because you can then curve that around the face, but let's just refer to that's, it's a little bit smaller than the face. But remember, this is all stretched out, so I say that's probably fine. Like I said, we can probably do that. Let's have a look. If you can, always use a human as a ideology. So, alright, so the thumb needs to go on the top. So that's probably ideal. Let's get it lined up. Alright, it's lined up there. Bring it across. Z it. Right, that's on the ball. Let's give it a quick render and see how it looks. But pretty accurate, actually. I want it to share the same properties as this one, because it's darker. So what are you? You're matte silver 1. You're matte silver 1. I want the internals to be darker, so let's have a look at what happens if we darken it. What's that going to change? What's that going to change? Right. Again, that's the handler, so it's the same. I mean, what is that? That's matte silver. So maybe we want to have matte silver, but the original? That seems like a bit better, because it's just going to be lighter on the inside. Yeah, I like that. The hand does still look a bit big though, so I don't know, maybe we want to scale it down a little bit. I don't want it to look like he has gigantism. Right, so that's material 14. Material 14. Material 14. And material 14. Right, matte silver, material. That's going to need to be material 14 as well. What about up here? That's all local crap. Let's tell that to Endo 6. I don't think we've actually got one that's called that. Right. Okay, that's fine. Maybe push it a bit into the ball, just so it looks like there's some kind of solid connection. Because if you look here, there's a bit of solid connection. Or maybe it's just not thick enough. It's about right. Because the ball would need to be bigger than that, so it's got some kind of vertice holder. Zuma says, how are you? I'm pretty good, thanks. Right, it's Control C, then V. Is that showing up? Yes, it is. Object, mirror. And which one's the right one? Y, okay. Why did we not know that? Right. So that's the model complete. That's the model, yeah, completely fully done. I want to actually bring this back down to black. I can always change it to white a bit later. And obviously the reason why it looks like that is because of the light. Very happy with that, so the only thing left to do now is to rig it. This is going to be terrible. Right, how do we want to do this? Let's save a model before we rig it, so let's do an armature. I'm just going to call this body bones. Oh, fuck it, now you know what. The endoskeleton's going to be called Spooky Scary Skeleton. Yeah, it's a valid, yeah, I heard that as well. If you go to Scott Games, it won't work. Right, I just want to do a quick test. Right, so if I, oh no, beta box select, Control P, right, deselect that, then reselect that, automatic weights, and see how good bad this is. Right, rotate my Y. It's not as bad as I thought. These need to be the same item. Alright, so you could, I mean that's all working now, so you could have like an extruding there. Yeah. I think I need to be like, I need to save this and then I need to pair this into a one big mesh. So I need like I'm going to keep this because the mesh is finished, and if I want any modifications I can just pull the stuff from there. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to get rid of this bone now. Now I need to find spooky, scary skeletons and actually get rid of it. Right, delete it. Delete, yes please. Right. If you make it dance like... Yeah, it's a long way from dancing. Right, let's move all the cameras out of the way. Just move everything out of the way we don't need. Let's open another Blender file. Because if we get it fully rigged and we ever need to change anything, because all the properties of it are relative and pretty easy and straightforward, this is pretty much the final model now. I'm just going to literally get this and I'm going to import it into a blank Blender file. I'm going to get rid of the light just so I know what I'm doing, and then I'm going to turn on world properties and I'm going to turn in ambient oculization. Great. Create camera. I'm just going to pull this back just so I can see what the model's going to look like. Maybe a bit far. Right, let's quickly render it. There's no lighting whatsoever, so I'm not going to have any screw-ups. The only thing that does kind of suck is the head won't be able to move side to side. That is one of the limitations we're going to have with this endoskeleton, but you know, that's fair enough. So these are all one component. These arm bones are, you know, one component. Everything except the eyes of this guy and maybe these. So let's is it possible to make a game on Source Filmmaker? Source Filmmaker is basically animation software. If you want to make a game, you can take the animation or model and you can import that into Gary's mod. I might do like a Source Filmmaker version of this so I can compress it low enough. I mean, the maximum amount of, I think it's either tries or vertices, is 9,000. And as you can see, we're well exceeding that with our model. Right. Okay, so I'm going to group this. So that's what I'm going to call. I'm going to call cube 26. I'm going to call this left hand. Okay. I'm going to call you right hand, just so I know what's going to happen. So that's left hand, that's right hand. what are we going to call you? Your cylinder... Fuck it, cylinder 27. We're going to rename you, right arm low, and then here you've got left arm low, you got left arm high, and then you've got right arm high. Okay, brilliant. So right hand, right arm low, right arm high, left hand, left arm low, left arm high. Then I need to do the eyelids, so I don't know if it's possible to like group these. Again, I'm not actually good with like grouping in Blender. I still have to work all this crap out. These should all be parts of the face. I don't know why they're not. Same with these guys. So it's literally just going to be a fact of that, basically. So I think literally this whole... Right. Okay, so this needs to be... This is sphere 4. So this is sphere 4. Rename that to right pupil. Right pupil. Sphere 1. Rename left pupil. That is left eyelid top. Eyelid top. Sphere 5. Right eyelid bottom. And then that's left pupil. That is left eyelid bottom. Right, okay. So we need to turn that off as well, so probably wouldn't be that hard to get everything that we need. So we've got mouth, top, and cube 1. Mouth, bottom. Lovely. Okay, so we've got all we want. So first things first, I'm going to grab all of these, object, join. Now these are all joined. Gotta get that. Actually, just gonna join this whole lot. Lovely. Oh, these are already joined. That's pretty useful. Okay, so object, joint. I think like there's something I'm missing. So that's what we want. So that's all one bit. Right, okay. Alright, that's good actually. But we can still move on this bar. I mean, that should be fine. I think this is... No, this whole bar isn't the same. Is that actually textured? Yes, it is. So... Right. Object. Join. Lovely. So that's now joined. The legs should be good. I want to join that. That needs to be joined. So you've got like, you can move big parts of bones if need be. Right, so object join. No, is this actually connected to the bottom disk? No. Object join, and then these are just feet. Okay, we're going to call this endo rig. So we should now be ready to rig it. Right, let's bring an armature in. So we're going to RY, RY. This is going to be our main bone. We're going to use this to move the mesh if need be. Obviously in the final render this won't be present. It won't actually show up. But let's put it here. Just so it's right below. Put it into edit mode. Right, let's go Z. E, Z. Bring it all the way down. Then E, Z. Bring it there. E, Z. Lovely. Should be alright. Right, now what we're going to do is we'll get these big parts here. Right. Control P. Crap, we need to select that last. Right, is that everything? Close. Good. What the heck am I making? Well, it's kind of like an endoskeleton from FNAF 1. Right. So Control P. Okay, then I need to. No, we need to get that. Control P. Automatic weights. Bone weighting failed. Solution. Okay, fine. Right. That should be fine. There we have it. So it can now move without too many problems. Except for the arms not moving. We'll have to add that at a later soon. But they're just checking for any problems. And I'm happy to report there don't seem to be any. Good. Alright. So let's bring... Alright, let's render that. That's moving that, because for some reason it hasn't weight painted onto this yet. Right. So let's actually go into object mode, get to this, object, weight paint. Let's just make this whole thing a red zone. So let's try this now. Bring it in, pose mode. Yeah, it's not good. It's causing a lot of cracking, so it's definitely what we want. So I'm gonna go here. I think it was in the vertice we want. Bone 3. Preserve volume, that's what we want, so let's see if that works. We don't want it pulling on that either. We don't really need this bit moving, to be honest. I mean, it's just a whole connector to that. Alright. still be able to bend though, so I just have to do this. Right, pose mode. Let's bring it in. RY. Yeah, that ain't working. Right, try on that. That's a bit better, but we don't want it on the actual eyes. But we can adjust the eyes manually if need be. Let's have a render of that. There's no problems there. Might be worth fusing. I'll tell you what. Let's bring it in solid object mode. I then want to delete this armature. I think that armature's now gone. Okay. What I want to do is I want to actually join them. Does that look better? No, it looks alright. Hopefully that should be okay. Like I said, I can't really rig that well. So maybe I don't want it to pick up like these and all that, and like the extremities and all of that various crap. But I'm not too sure how to do this actually. I'm trying to think. At one point I know that we're going to have a lot of trouble with. So, right. Unless I want to do it the other way, I want to do it so it goes up. Maybe have like a dick bone that can then go left. That'll be fine. Just make it really small. Right, E, Z. And then we'll do that so it can bend. Probably, actually. Right. Make those one layer. It would move like that. Right, E, Z. Then we E, Z. No, we don't E to Z, we E to Y. Then E to Y again. Bring it forward and E to Y one last time. Then on this one, E to Y. And my watch. Right. E to Y. E to Y. Right, let's try this. It's probably going to end in tears, but there we are. Okay, right. Well, Lazy Man model is rigged, so let's have a look at this. I mean, that's not... What I do want to do, though, is I want to go to object mode. Preserve volume. I'm going to set all of these to preserve volume, because that's what you want. So then, I'm going to go back to pose mode. Alright, I'll take the X. I think I need to weight paint this a bit better, so I'm going to go into weight paint. It's getting that bit. Getting that bit is what we want. We want it to get that bit as well. Let's get the radius down to maybe, I don't know, 10. Let's bring that to 10. JK, I reckon. Right, okay, radius, might turn that to 20. Okay, right. Then okay, mode. Object mode. Or was it this one? And we want to white paint that. Right, how's that gonna now look? So we want to get that one. It's alright, actually. It's not too bad, actually. Let's get a render of it, because I see a bit of sharpness there. Oh. Yeah, you know that ligament, it said, do you want to move it? That was that little line. I think we do want to move that, actually. Otherwise we're going to end up with that sharp. It actually looks like the circular bone. So let's get that back into object mode. Get you into a white paint. Alright, that's fine. Right, let's get that back to object mode. Let's do pose mode again. See what happens now. I'm still getting a lot of tearing here. Switch to rendered mode. I'd be interested to know what's actually causing that. Let's turn the into sticks so I can actually identify the problem. So let's bring the stick around. Isn't that? Oh, I tell you what it is. I know what this is now. This is actually part of the because there's part of the mesh which isn't actually syncing up. So let's go back to white paint mode. There's a part of this which we haven't fully got. So we need to get the whole thing. Just get the whole thing, and then that should get rid of any problems. Right. Okay. Let's go back into object mode. Now let's try one last time. Okay, well I'm noticing that's a lot cleaner. Let's switch to rendered mode. With the exception of this bit crimping a little bit, that's alright. It's not too bad actually. A little bit of volume cracking here. That's just where it's cracked, I suppose. And no, it's not too bad. I want to go to armature. There's this part here. Can't see it anywhere. Preserve volume. What happens if we turn preserve volume of both of these off? I'd be quite interested to see what happens here. So let's try it again. That's not too bad. Alright, you take care, man. Thanks for joining. Not too bad, right. Object mode. So, I'm fine with that. So, pose mode. Let's just bring this back. Okay, now this one was one I remember having a lot of problems with. Let's white paint. Alright, that's fine. Weight paint. I might try weight painting this when, you know, again, we're in that mode. It's quite accurate, actually. Oh, bloody hell, that is going off a bit. Right, pose mode, let's bring you... Let's then look at object mode. Then we've got weight paint. Just bring everything that we need here. Right. That's kind of what we need. Right, okay. I think it's because that doesn't have full control over that, so let's go to objects, weight paint. That needs to have an add multiplier of 100%, so that needs to move the whole face, so that wasn't controlling that at all. That's why we were having those problems. So let's go back to object mode. Pose mode, let's have a look. Alright. Still fucked for some reason. Right, let's go back to here. Preserve volume. And then weight paint. Subtract. I don't know why that one's not working. I think it's being controlled by the master bone or something. I'm making an awesome render though. Let's have a look at this. How to break a model part 1. Alright, let's go back to object mode. Yep, object mode. Right. Weight paint. It was. Then I maybe want to subtract a lot of this. Lighten. Might have the same problem, to be honest. We're actually noticing that isn't fully connecting to the mesh. Pose mode, right. Yeah, it isn't ideal. There must be a better way to do this than just fuck around with with all this? There must be a better way. Alright, I'm gonna go back into object mode. Because that is just fucking awful. I'm probably gonna... Do I want to decrease? No, it should be the right size. I'm trying to think of the best way to do this, because doing like that, the face isn't really going to work, and you know, the mouth isn't really going to work. Don't want to really do it manually. Unless I create like a master bone, if that makes sense. You create a master bone and then just a lot of sub bones, so they aren't connected or anything, but they kind of just work. So let's try that. Right, so Control P. Automatic weights. Let's get this guy. It's pose mode. Might want to have to clean it up. That's the reason why it's not working. It's because it has to be precise. So object mode. So if we go to there, just completely clear the bone cache, and that shouldn't be able to move it. Pose mode. It can't move it now. So what we have to do is we have to get it bone exactly in there, and then E. Maybe not. Then scale it on the Y-axis. Okay, now it's connecting to it. Didn't ask it to do that, but there you go. Cut that. Right. No, it's still connecting. Yeah, parent armature. Alright. Brilliant, perfect, that's what I want. Just scale on the Y. Probably a good idea to make it a little bit bigger. Because then that gets crushed, but we don't really care about that. But it's probably going to be the best way to do it. Because otherwise we're going to end up with like that crushing that you saw there, which we don't really want. So, okay, let's go to this. Go to all that with automatic weights. Let's go to pose mode. And that. Minus the crunching, because you see we've got that crunching going on. We go into there, preserve volume. For some reason it's shrinking quite a lot, which isn't good. So I was already like that, I think. Should be fine. Control P. Let's try with envelope weights. And that's even worse because for some reason it's crunching it, which is just compressing the whole mesh, which we don't want. Deform, turn that off, right. Control P, bring the mesh, bring that, automatic weights, and let's move this. Let's move the ball, sorry. There we go. Seems to be fine in pose mode. Seems to be fine in map mode, but it's pose mode which is causing the problems. So need to allow that to deform. Right. P automatic weights. We want. That's a problem in edit mode for some reason. It seems to be showing up there. Just rather peculiar. So let's move it to there. Okay, so let's have a look at our local location. Hide. Allow deform. Right. Try this a couple more times. That's kind of a problem we're having at the moment. Might want to turn you into a. It's got an armature. See, this is why I don't like. Blender's alright for when you want to animate and crap, but for rigging, I kind of want to move to 3ds Max because you can see the rigging tools are a bit eh. I mean, you see it's crunching the fucking hell out of that, which, you know, we haven't told it to do. We haven't said crunch it. We've told it nothing of the kind. So why it's chosen to do that is beyond me. Must be an explanation. So it should just be called render fails at rigging for however long this is going to be. I'll make it smaller. Right. The crunch is smaller for that, so... Crunch is way small for that, actually, so... Right. So I need to minus all of these. Oh, Victoria Miller. You're just in for failing, right? With automatic weights, right? Objects. So I don't get why this part here is not wanting to move. So we have to have that as vertex group. So I have to object join it again. Just fucking around with this and see if I can actually get it to work. I don't know why it's registering them as different meshes either. mean, you remove these just fine in like normal mode without any crimping or any crap like that. The second you apply a bone to it, for some weird reason, the software just says we need to squash it when you shouldn't be doing that. Let's get rid of all this crap. There's got to be a way around this. There has to be. Parent, so that's left arm high. See, that's fine when we're correct. Actually, that's a good idea. Instead of using automatic weights, which are obviously screwing everything up, why don't we do this quite intelligently? Let's do it there. So that's armature, that's just armature. And then we can set the parent of this to armature. Take and it's going to be a problem when it comes to all that. But do we get the same problem? I mean, it doesn't move. It's turning into a parent object. Doesn't seem to work. So let's add another armature. I'm hellbent on getting this right. Right, so Control P. Armature deform. Let's try it now. We're getting the same problem. It's not for some reason allowing that to work. Axes. Display the name. Alright, there's got to be something in the armature which is fucking it up. Mission locks. Yeah. Alright. For some reason it's not registering that. So I'm going to try something. Bring it to object mode. That is showing as left arm high. Yeah, fuck this. Right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, actually. I will come back to this. I'm going to do a bit of research on how I can actually rig this, because the method I'm using isn't working. And I will be back in the next one. So yeah, basically, sorry, this episode should just be called Rigging Fail, because, I mean, we've got a model. The model looks really quite nice, actually. But it's a fact of there's no point to the model if you can't rig it. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next stream. Take care, everybody.